Picture this scenario. You're lying awake at 3 a.m., staring at the ceiling, and your mind is racing through every possible financial disaster that could strike tomorrow. Your car could break down, your laptop might die, or you could lose your job. Most people think making more money will solve that anxiety. They're wrong. Because right now, 57% of workers worldwide, in wealthy, developed countries, live paycheck to paycheck. Not in poverty, employed, earning, and still one emergency away from collapse. On this channel, we don't do tips. We expose the hidden systems that profit from your exhaustion. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why even families earning six figures are financially fragile. But first, a reality check. If your income disappeared tomorrow, exactly how many months could you survive? Most people can't survive even 30 days, yet they believe they are successful because they earn a high salary. Consider a couple making a combined $133,000. She's in marketing, he's in IT. They should be building an empire. Instead, they're gasping for air. They both check their bank app before going to sleep, not out of curiosity, but out of fear. Last month, their daughter had a fever and needed a doctor. The first thing they thought wasn't, is she okay? It was, can we afford this right now? That isn't a budgeting problem. That is a systemic failure. Because this channel isn't about hustle culture. It's about understanding the systems that quietly control your financial life. The second income that was supposed to make families safer has actually made them more fragile. In 2003, Elizabeth Warren, then a Harvard law professor and one of America's leading bankruptcy experts, published The Two-Income Trap. She wasn't writing opinion. She was analyzing 30 years of federal bankruptcy data, census records, and Bureau of Labor Statistics surveys, and what she found should have changed everything. Here is the headline. A two-income family today earns 75% more money than a single-income family of a generation ago, and yet they have 25% less discretionary income. More income, less freedom. That is not a coincidence. In other words, the system didn't make families richer, it simply made the middle class more expensive. In 1970, a median single-income family could afford a median-priced home, spending just 25% of their pay on housing. They had a structural backup plan. If the breadwinner lost their job, the stay-at-home parent could enter the workforce. The family had a reserve engine. Imagine the family budget like a machine with two engines. In 1970, only one engine was running, leaving the second in reserve. Today, both engines are running at full power just to stay in the same place, like driving at full speed with no spare tire. And Warren's data on what ultimately breaks these families is equally damning. Nearly 90% of bankruptcy filings follow one of just three life events: a job loss, a serious medical crisis, or a divorce. Not irresponsible spending, not vacations. A single bad month, the kind that used to be survivable. But the most disturbing part of this trap isn't childcare costs or taxes. It's something hiding inside the housing market. Now, let's run the brutal math of the second income, because this is where the system reveals its true face. After you factor in the higher tax bracket, $15,000 for childcare and $8,000 just to commute to that second job, something sickening happens. That $50,000 salary nets out to approximately $2,000 a year. Imagine leaving your house every morning at 8 a.m. and coming back home at 6 p.m. just to earn $1. You are not an employee. You are an unpaid intern for your own lifestyle. Because every family has two incomes now, we've entered an arms race, using that extra cash to outbid each other for houses in good school districts. This isn't a housing market anymore. It's an auction for childhood. We aren't buying better homes. We're just paying a $400,000 tuition fee for a public school district, a fee that locks both parents into the workforce permanently, with no exit, no flexibility, and no margin for error. And once the house locks you in, the automotive Stockholm syndrome finishes the job. We sign 8-year loans for $70,000 trucks, convincing ourselves we need it for reliability. We finance cars longer than some marriages last. It is wealth destruction with cup holders. We are driving a financial horror movie to a job that barely pays for the gas to get there. Most people think financial freedom requires millions. It doesn't. This is why the 20K freedom rule is the only number that actually matters. And around $20,000 in savings, the neurochemistry of your life changes. Your boss stops being your master. This is walking away money. It gives you optionality. Optionality is the exact number of months sitting between you and desperation. It is the difference between a crisis and an inconvenience, the difference between a negotiation and a surrender. Warren's research points to the same exit ramp, what she called a one-income foundation, where your household's fixed costs are covered by a single salary, so the second income becomes ammunition for freedom rather than a survival requirement. That is the restructuring. That is the escape hatch. To get there, you must apply the replacement test. Look at everything you own and ask, if this disappeared today, would I actually spend my life hours to buy it again? Most of the stuff currently owning you would fail that test. Warren's data proved that families aren't going broke on luxuries. Adjusted for inflation, families actually spend less on clothing, food, and appliances than a generation ago. The damage isn't being done at the mall. It's being done at the mortgage closing table, at the car dealership, and at the school district boundary line. Stop buying things you don't need to impress people you don't even like. On this channel, we don't just save pennies, we buy back our lives. We are building a one-income foundation so that freedom isn't a luxury, it's our baseline. The goal isn't to earn more money just to spend it. The real goal is simple: to stop waking up at 3 a.m. How many months of survival do you have in the bank right now? Be honest in the comments. Let's start the investigation there. Join the movement. Choose optionality. Buy back your freedom.